o'clock. I think we'll go ahead and start the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. HVAC project update.
We had a meeting this morning. He wasn't going to.
Right,
Yep.
so we had one earlier, so, all right. So we'll skip over that one. And approval of the minutes from February 27th.
I'll move to approve the minutes from February 27th, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims for payment for March 6th.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims for payment from March 6th, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
BJ, I noticed you have another claim on there for
Yep.
$220. What was that for?
Mileage,
For,
attending different meetings. They have the detailed mileage report up in the auditor's office.
Okay.
how do all these meetings you seem to go to benefit Hardin County?
Can we have this conversation maybe after the meeting? I mean, we've got an agenda here.
I think it's a legitimate question.
Or
because
save it for
in the
public,
last
maybe
year and a half,
Save it for
he's
public
spent
comments,
way
please.
over twice as much as you two have.
Well, but you can save your 3 minutes for public comments then, please, so we can continue on with our agenda. We have people here that have their own agendas for the day, so please, Don, if we can just save it for public comments then. Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Utility permits and secondary roads department. Which of you?
Two utility permits. It's not really a permit for us, it's for the DOT. We've already approved our portion of it, so this is pretty much us giving the say-so to the state, like, yep, we're okay with this.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I'll move to approve the utility permits as printed.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I can do this. Nick, you want me to talk about this too? Sure. So last week, Nick had asked what's the difference between somebody like a private company or citizen moving snow on the road as opposed to fixing the road. So I had a couple of thoughts, and my first was on our work in the right-of-way permit. So essentially, anything that involves a physical change to the roadway, whether it's the ditches or on the road itself, you need a permit. It pretty much excuses us a liability for any work they do. And so that's a physical change to the roadway. So then the other part I made was the granular material costs. You know, the last 5 years we paid almost $3.8 million for granular material, but we don't pay for the snow on the road. So essentially I summarized it with, you know, moving the snow doesn't really change the roadway that all the taxpayers have paid for. And if they hit anything, that's their own personal liability, driving their car. So I can't say they're the same thing. So, but yeah, and we don't usually turn down permits. So if that's the excuse they're giving you, then you can have that conversation with them. But yeah, unless they have a history of bad work, we're going to approve a permit for somebody to work on the roadway. Yep.
Okay. Approved contract for bridge replacement projects.
Yes, we tabled this last week. It's for our 2 culvert jobs. You can find the maps on there, but one's just east of Iowa Falls, and one is kind of in the middle of the county in Ellis Township. Weideman Incorporated out of Dow's was the low bid, so it's a halfway local company.
Okay.
They know what they're doing.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the contracts for bid replacement projects FM CO42 sub 94-5599 and FM CO42 sub 95-5599.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Change of status engineer's office. in talking to Taylor, I understand this kind of came out of the auditor's office. Is Jessica or Tina not here? It's changing a couple of employees from 40 hours to 37 and a half hours. I did have a couple questions, or a question for sure. Angela's currently at 40 hours. Now, and I don't know, that's why I'm asking here, when the guys are on 410s and the guys are working 40-hour weeks,
Yep.
I would almost assume there's a need for having her in the office when the guys are working, or am I wrong?
Well, I mean, but they start working at 6 a.m., so, you know.
But she puts in her 8 hours along with them, is that?
Yeah, we do we do 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
So they check out the same time as us, but they show up earlier.
Okay,
And then we're there on Fridays and they are not.
okay.
Essentially, this boiled down to Jessica wanted my office to all be the same. So we had to change me and Angela, or change Joe and Bruce to 40. So,
This is a continuity item.
yes,
Okay.
yes, this came out of the auditor's office, so I don't, yeah, I'd ask them about it. I'd wait for them, I'd table it until they're here, to be honest. If you guys don't like it, I would like. I'd
Well,
like
because
do
it's
that.
going to make it's more or less going to be a salary.
Yeah, her overall
issue.
salary wouldn't change, but she would make more dollars per hour, essentially. But moving Joe and Bruce from 37 and a half to 40 hours would cause the overall money
Right.
to go up during
Right,
the year.
right.
So we felt this was the lesser of two evils, and she also wanted to change Greg and Mark, but I didn't agree with that because if they're working 410s, or even 4 days a week, I don't know how to do that with a 37 and a half
Right,
hours.
right.
It'd be, I don't know, you can do that.
Okay,
They're salary based.
Correct. All 6 of us are.
right.
Well, this time you asked to table it,
That's what I'd recommend.
so I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second that, Lance.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Excuse me?
Auditor's monthly report.
I'll make a motion to approve the auditor's report as presented by Auditor Laura.
I will second.
All right, any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Sheriff's monthly report.
I'll move to approve the sheriff's monthly report.
Second?
Any other discussion on that? And that would be for the month of February. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Resolution declaring emergency medical services an essential service in Hardin County. We've received a resolution on that to consider, which would more or less declare them as an essential service in Hardin County. There would be a council that would be appointed and representatives on that to do research and recommendations. I'll entertain any comments or whatever at this point. Jody?
Hi, so am I to understand that you'll have a board with over 30 people on it?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to be chaotic.
Yeah. Wright County utilized the same model, and it helped to get the input from as many parties as possible. The other thing I went out and got input from our EMS council, and they requested most everybody. This was their wish list. This is your EMS providers asking for this. This wasn't, Lance's idea, my idea, or Renee's. This was what the EMS council, your providers, determined was an appropriate list of advisory committee members. I agree, it's a lot of people, but with something this important, I believe that, getting as many people and their opinions and knowledge and skill sets together, I think will pay dividends. But I agree with you, Jody.
Yeah, I just think that seems like an awful lot of people to try to get anything done.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger boards now struggle to
Right.
make decisions.
Ben, do you want to address as the president of the EMS
Yes.
Council?
My name is Benjamin Kraus. I'm your Hardin County EMS Council President. I would just want to clarify on our wishes here. This is the beginning of what we wanted for this council, just so everybody's got a seat at the table at the beginning. As this council moves into forming it, the resolution will be voted on by the county, I believe, has got to be done, correct?
Correct.
We would ask those that are still interested to form the board, and then we could trim it down for people that decide that, again, 30 people's a lot. We'd narrow that down to a 7 to 8 member board of everyone who's got an actual opinion that would be able to put forth the time and effort towards this. That was our wish, and then this board would have a date of dismissal, whatever you like.
Yeah, it would sunset at some point.
Yes, it would sunset after the vote. So this is just an advisory board to make sure everybody's on the same page with forming this essential service.
Wouldn't we be able to put that, put number 2 above number 1? I think you can do your appointment of your committee and your commission to do the research and everything
Yeah.
before the county
Yes, and that
approves
was, I
this
guess,
resolution.
our
Is that
thought was
correct?
we were going to form this council, and then we would bring the finished product to you all for a vote later. So
And what was Wright County, was it Wright County you said?
Wright County's passed a resolution. I just was on the phone with Steve Mercer, and I've spoken with Jim Lester, who's kind of headed this up in Wright County, but Appanoose County recently passed a similar resolution. Actually, townships are now passing resolutions on the township level because the crisis is to the point where individual townships are having, crises in
Are there
receiving the
township
care.
ambulances in in these counties that are doing that, or?
Actually, the one that Steve knew, Sheffield Township in Franklin County, was actually one of the townships that passed that.
Do they have an ambulance service, or
I
are they
think
just
the
doing
Sheffield
it as a
City
township?
Ambulance Services, the city of or the township of Sheffield. Yeah.
What services are they not receiving because of
It
this?
could be a matter of lack of volunteers because of lack of training funds, recruitment, retention. I see we have a lot of EMS providers here. I'd be more than happy to see where you guys stand and what your concerns are, why this is critical to you as a provider. So I think the opinions differ. Everybody from, I read where Iowa Falls is expecting a $65,000 shortfall. In the Wright County model, there'd be backfill collected to help offset those. Yes?
So I've heard a couple different things from you, BJ. You had said at one time all of the districts where the funds would be collected, they would basically be given back to those agencies to provide EMS service on a kind of a per capita or a service area. And then the last time I know that you had come and spoke with us, you said that you would use it the funds would be used, the county would collect them, and then you would backfill into services that were losing money. So I'm just concerned about that. I think you'd have to declare that or define that, because one we would support, one we would be concerned about as the city of Iowa Falls with the Iowa Falls EMS.
Mm-hmm.
We would need to know what it was that you were suggesting. And
Right.
'cause
That's
you
what this
asked for
committee would,
support,
yeah.
But I had two different scenarios on how the funding would take place, and
Right.
like I said, as long as it's per capita and per service area, that seems very fair.
Mhm.
Backfilling losing services, services that are experiencing shortfalls, I don't know that it'd be fair to ask other parts of the county to then backfill services that they weren't using. So I think that was unfair, so
Yeah.
I need that clarified. Where are you kind of on that right
Well,
now?
it's not for me as one person to decide. It's for this advisory council to come together. People from Alden are concerned because they have a first responder unit that gets no reimbursement for durable medical equipment, fuel, or anything. So in Wright County, their task force came up with a model, and is it right for Hardin County? Probably not. But with the levy that they put in place, they earmarked X amount per year to be put in the fund to replace every services ambulance on a revolving time period. It gave money for medical direction, you know, actually involved medical directors that want to be a part of the training and advancement of the practice. So we don't know what that advisory council will come up with, but you know, there's services like Ackley that, you know, I don't know if they want to wait and buy a $180,000 ambulance until something's figured out. Eldora, how do you guys want to determine if you're going to continue, you know, full-blown paramedic service and have to ask your taxpayers to pony up for that? Union, how are you going to figure out how to recruit more volunteers and retain them? How many do you have, Junior?
We have 4 active EMTs on our roster, which 3 of us actively have full-time jobs during the day, and that puts 1 EMT on day shift and very limited drivers.
Yeah.
We just don't have, and I'm sure Eldora knows how many calls we've missed. We missed 2 yesterday alone, not having anybody.
Yeah.
And that's only 2 in one day, and we missed several.
Right.
Anybody who's been on Eldora's ambulance knows that
Yeah.
we've struggled. And we struggle with funding too for air equipment we need. It just ain't out there. We charge, but insurance companies only pay what they pay, and a lot of it's undisputable.
So I mean, the model we'd be looking at is more of a per capita reimbursement.
I don't know.
Those agencies would
Yeah.
go to.
Yep. Something with some equity to it, but that's not for me to decide. That's not for, you know, Jamie to decide. That's not for Dave to decide, or you know.
I just know
Yeah.
when you had came.
Yeah, there's so many
when you had
different
came to
things.
us and
Yep.
asked us as a city to support that, you had
Yeah.
done those 2 different scenarios.
Yep. I know Appanoose County, all they're doing is looking to determine how much money it would take to have an ambulance service period in the county. Right now they have Midwest, and they're looking at the feasibility of county-based ambulance service. So I don't think the shoe fits every county the same, but our EMS council really has put some time and effort into, you know, trying to get everybody involved and at least get the discussion going. Wright County won't, they voted on the referendum August of 2018. They won't see a penny till July of 2019. But the morale and knowing that there's some hope on the horizon that they can continue continuity of operations and care across the board is exciting to their providers right now. But
Does this have to be done at a county level, or can cities pass and do the same thing?
I would guess that, you know, if a township can, a city can, but at what point should the city of Eldora levy to cover those 2 calls in Union yesterday? If you do it by the county-wide, I think it also allows for, you know, the standards that Corey and we've pushed for years to get the service standards across the board uniform, and we've just been kind of laughed at. And but until you're a provider and you want the standards to be uniform, and knowing that somebody in Union is going to get the same care as Ackley or Iowa Falls or Alden or Hubbard, you take that for granted. And I think we have a lot of dedicated professionals that have a servant's heart that want to give that, but it's getting difficult. Yes, Roger.
Roger Sutton, Pine Lake Camps, just outside of Eldora here, also a taxpayer now in Hardin County now, so vested interest in many fronts. Moved here 22 years ago to work at the camp. Have appreciated the services of our EMS squad, our sheriff's department, numerous departments. I think it's time for this county on many fronts to come together and quit this spit and match that's going on at many levels. What we're talking about here with the ambulance squad and going to the EMS services, things that are changing there, plays to our fire departments. It plays to every level of protection that we all rely on, whether we live in Iowa Falls, Eldora, a mile out or 20 miles out. We, our citizens, deserve and need the protection. We're only 17,000 people, folks. We have to recognize that. Our tax base is this. are, instead of having all these little departments all over everywhere, police, fire, ambulance, EMS, we gotta come together. A number of years ago, I was involved, maybe with some of you, when Area 6 came in, and we were supposed to have this emergency plan so that FEMA could come in and pay us when we have a 10-year storm. We sat down and did that. I don't know where it ever went, but we've got to come together and quit fighting for our little fiefdoms, folks. I appreciate the services that we've had. A week ago, we had a gal had a displaced, she was hurting. In 20 minutes, she was on the road headed to Grundy Center, because that's where we send them, because that was close and everything else. But we got to come together, folks. And this, yeah, this is 30 people. That's a piece for me that says, let's come together and let's come to the table, not to protect our peace, but to come together.
Thanks.
I have one more.
Dave?
This doesn't provide any funding or call for a referendum or anything like that.
No.
You would expect that that would arise after the advisory council comes up with a recommendation. And are you putting any time frame on the work of the advisory council? You know, it's hard to get a group of people together at any time.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like
Much
herding
less keep
cats.
anything moving forward.
Right.
So I would certainly hope that you would ask it to be completed in time to be on the November ballot is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I don't know if that's realistic. I mean, I'm going to look to Corey, one of our senior EMS providers in the county, and say that, is that a smart goal?
This
Go
November,
ahead, Corey.
it would have to be that would have to be a special countywide election then.
Yeah.
You know, we need to get everyone on board. I think that's really the crucial piece, because any one area of the county, if they aren't happy with the direction it's moving, could really create a disruption in the whole process that would make all of our voters call that into question. So I really think we need to be deliberate in how we go about this. And I don't know that we can maybe create a time frame until we've at least had a couple of meetings to see where everyone's at and how close we really are on agreement about how we would use this kind of money generated by the levy. But I think a year would be a pretty even ambitious goal.
Yeah, I agree.
You say money generated by the levy, but that would have to be voted on first
Right.
through the referendum.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be looking at 2021 by that, July of 2021 by that time, if we don't pull a special election together.
2020, November of 2020.
November of 2020 to be
That
for
would
the
be the
budget year
next
of
county.
2021.
That's
July
the
of
next.
2021.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. You're right. Yes, I see what you're saying.
I have a question. What do you see the hospital role in the advisory committee?
I'm going to defer any questions to
Yeah,
BJ or
at this
whomever you
point,
recommend.
I don't know what the hospital's role. We have the end disposition of so many patients is so many places right now. I think that's one of those things where my idea would bring in consultation from, cardiac, we go to Allen a lot, we go to Mary Greeley just because of the availability of cath lab. Trauma, we're going to Covenant, we're going Mary Greeley on occasion. So I think all the healthcare providers need to be involved. It's in its infancy. I really don't know, exactly what everybody's role is going to be. Ben can address the townships, what's their role going to be? Well, they levy money right now, but a lot of times that money sits there unless entities request it. So to get everybody involved and find out what their roles, responsibilities, I really don't know exactly where everybody's going to fit in the big picture.
So you don't think the county would want the county hospital, the only hospital in the county to be part of that board?
I have no problem with, adding.
I just
yeah.
assumed that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be a good move.
Right.
I mean, if we got 30, what's one or two?
Exactly. Yeah. extra cup of coffee or two. Yeah.
Nancy, did you realize there's
Yep.
people over in the other room? Did you get
So.
names?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
And this morning, attorney, yes, Donna.
Would then Grundy Hospital be included in that too? I mean, after all, there are areas in this county, in an emergency, that Grundy Hospital is actually the closest one.
Yeah, I don't. I think
I see more that if we're having township officials and everyone involved here, I guess I don't remember who all is, but that it would be people from Hardin County that are represented on that, and where the person requests to go, you know, would be outside of that. I don't know
Yeah.
that I see Grundy County being on our board to help make a decision for the people in Hardin County that are going to pay for this through their taxes.
You say you do or you don't?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't see.
and
Grundy
it's something
County.
that there's an EMS council meeting next Tuesday night that if you would like to add that to the agenda, Mr. President, and discuss it. I really value our EMS providers' input to this because they're our frontline, you know, people. Yeah, I agree, Donna. I mean, the disposition of patients varies every day. You know, we take a lot of our mental health patients all over. You know, at what point do you draw the line and say, here's the, you know, the stakeholders that we want at the table? Bob?
I was gonna say, I wouldn't say they would necessarily be on the board, but I think they should be involved because they ultimately are gonna have part of whatever decision was made, it's gonna affect them.
Right.
I would think.
Well, then we should have the Ames Hospital and the Franklin County Hospital
Well, you can put
and Marshall
everybody
County
involved. I'm just
Hospital.
saying,
I'd-
If somebody's involved, I would think you would just, kind of like, make sure everything's cool.
I think our ambulance people would be able to cover whatever they would cover because they're familiar with those
Yeah.
hospitals if they
I would probably
transport there.
defer
I just
those
hate to see
decisions
that
to
grow.
the providers. I mean, I know
Right.
Corey and Ben, and we have a plethora of providers here from a number of jurisdictions that, you know, we have to trust them that, once again, they're on the front lines. They see, you know, from a, you know, en route to the final destination. So we did get recommendation from Attorney Meyer to table this today so he can do a little more research finding out any legal ramifications of the resolution, and so I'm fine with that. I'm glad we've had healthy dialogue about what's going on. I think if the people that aren't here today and involve themselves in the meetings understood what EMS looks like today compared to what it was 10 years ago and compared to what it could be in, you know, 5 years or less than that, I think people will take an active stance in the participation going forward with a project like this.
Can
Yes.
I just add one other thing
Sure.
that might be helpful to inform folks? As we're considering the hospital's role in this, just all of us working on it in general, one difference between the hospital there and every other hospital that was mentioned is one thing we share in common is the county's economic backing of the bonds for the success of the hospital. And that's at about $18 million or so. And so I'm always looking for areas where we can all agree on things, and one thing we can agree on is that's one difference, is that the success there is success to the county and vice versa. And I just wanted to highlight that because it often gets lost in the shuffle, but the mutual success opportunities there can help inform our thinking as we move forward.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion on?
I'll make a
Donna-
motion.
Donna
Oh,
has a question.
sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
The success of the hospital notwithstanding, if you have an accident on 175 and Y Avenue, which is closer? Grundy's closer than Hanson. So, yeah, okay, success of the hospital, but what about the patient? What about the trauma? If you can go 16 miles to get to an emergency room, or you go 30 miles to get to an emergency room, depending on the emergency, that's a lot better.
is that already determined, that is already maybe taken into consideration by the ambulance when they pick somebody up, and they if the person doesn't request a hospital, don't you normally go to the nearest? That's a,
Corey,
that's a given, isn't it,
There are
or
a lot of
not?
things that go into that decision. I wish it was a simple algorithm, but it's
Or
really not. But
the type of services that they
absolutely,
need,
if we had
is
a
that?
critical situation, it was east of Eldora, it only makes sense that you're going to go to the closest hospital. I'm just not sure exactly how this resolution actually ties in with what choice you make as far as a hospital.
Right.
This is really about supporting
The funding of it.
the infrastructure of EMS to be able to get that ambulance or those EMS services to you, and then be able to get you to whatever hospital is
Right.
appropriate.
Right, I agree, thank you.
Daryl, did you have any comments?
No,
Okay.
I've learned a lot already.
Maybe we'll appoint you to the committee.
What I do to deserve that?
Voluntold again. Voluntold.
Yeah, voluntold. Okay,
So, I'll make a motion to table the resolution as presented, providing Attorney Meyer spend some additional time on it, and any changes will be provided to Ben Kraus for dissemination within the EMS community, and then it'll be republished as normal as a meeting document going forward.
okay,
That was second.
okay, any further comments?
Yeah, even if we don't do the resolution, I still think it'd be a good idea to put this advisory committee together. We can, for a deadline of November, to get some idea to us. Even if we don't do a referendum, the county can still, has the authority to still fund issues without the referendum.
Right.
And without the resolution or the referendum, that would be fine. But I would still like to see this get together and see the needs.
It would have to be funded out of probably the general fund. I don't know, we'd have to check rural services on, but I'm not sure.
More
on
than
that,
likely
but-
general if you're doing the entire entity, or, I mean, there's more than just one option here. And I do believe EMS is important.
Yes, I don't think anybody would deny that, so. Okay, anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public comments. Donna?
I'd still like to ask about all those meetings you
Mhm.
go to,
Yep.
BJ, and how they benefit
Sure.
Hardin County, especially when you consider in the last year and a half, you've put in claims for over $4,300, while the other two have done just barely over $1,800.
Okay.
And so therefore, I'm wondering, how are all these meetings are going to benefiting our county?
Sure. What I would suggest is to get the mileage form from Mindy, and each travel has exactly what meeting I was going to, whether it's Central Iowa Community Services, Access, Emergency Management. I mean, it's Friendship Club, Senior Issues, those. So it's all detailed there, and it's what I was told was the proper accounting method by our accountants that do our outside audit.
So why do you go to all these meetings only?
Because those were assigned to me on the day of the organizational meeting. Lance and Renee have other meetings that they go to. Some of those may not be geographically in the same place. So Lance, a couple of his boards meet at the land, or where do your landfill ones?
Landfill, recycling, juvenile detention, all within a short distance. Juvenile detention submits mileage to me directly, so it does not go through the county, along with every board member on that board that come from all over the state. For the most part, I haven't turned any mileage in for the year yet.
You usually do that once a year, don't you?
Once a year.
You haven't turned any in for a year and a half,
I haven't.
for which I commend you.
Well, then I'm a little behind, but
You do
Um,
serve on Region 6 though, too.
Region 6,
That's
and Jody sometimes would haul me there. I wouldn't turn that mileage in, just because we share a ride. Most of the time we don't, but sometimes we do.
sometimes we do.
Some of mine are in Eldora, so of course I don't turn those in. One is in Marshalltown, that's a monthly meeting, so I turn that in. I'm on the 2nd Judicial District Board in Webster City. They pay me directly, so I don't have to turn that in. A couple in Iowa Falls, so that's not much mileage either, so.
I have a meeting in Tama. Some of the time we take the county vehicle, me and another coworker. We both go to the same meetings, and sometimes they drive their own vehicle. I'm pretty easy passing the buck to let somebody else drive.
You're pretty easy passing the buck and let somebody else read too.
Read?
Read.
They like to.
Micah?
I just want to point out that elected officials aren't the ones that claim mileage. Many employees claim mileage. I claim mileage when I go to meetings out of Eldora and out of the county too. So we're using our own personal vehicles, doing work-related activities, meetings, and they're just not all in Hardin County. You know, I'm the only person who does what I do in this county. I've got to go somewhere else to meet other people who do what I do in other counties, and that's the same for almost all of our department heads.
But when there's one that seems unusual. I was just concerned about the much larger amount.
Well, his list of boards is available to anybody. You can look and see where he's got to go, where the boards are.
Any other public comments? Any other business?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming here.
Okay, Julie.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base here and give you guys some more education piece, I guess, on, we talk a lot about public health through Hardin County, but I also wanted to talk about like the Certified Home Care Agency and how they benefit Hardin County. I know that you fund the public health piece of that with the indigent care, but I don't think that we talk enough about how home care is a piece, an integral piece of Hardin County, how it affects the hospital, how it affects our ambulance service, how, and I know that it's not going away, but I think that other counties have decertified due to convenience, due to multiple reasons, and I just don't think that could ever be brought up in Hardin County, and I want to educate the public and you as supervisors on how this does help us, how it helps the hospital, how keeping people in their homes, it reduces the readmission rate into hospitals. It's been proven, it's in my statistics here. If somebody is readmitted within 30 days back to a hospital, the hospital loses funding on both of those admissions. So having home care at a cheaper rate that is also reimbursed by their insurance company not only helps the hospital, but it also helps the county and it helps Greenbelt Home Care. So I just have some educational information for you all to go through. And the services, like if you look on the third page there, the picture, the color picture, that's a senior care spectrum. That's all the different types of senior care that's available. We provide the green square, the home health care, and we also provide the purple square that says respite care. We're one of very few counties that actually do provide respite care, and that is private pay only at $25 per hour, but that does keep people in their homes longer, and we've used it a lot. It's just an option for people if they don't want to go to a nursing home. If they have a loved one that's sick at home and they still want to work their job, they're willing to pay somebody else to stay in their home a few hours a day so that they can maintain income and keep their loved one home. So, I don't know if you have any questions on this, but I just wanted to at least update you on home care and that we are a certified agency and we're very proud of it, and it's a very beneficial service to all of our residents. So,
thank you.
Julie.
Until people understand that they need to address public policy on a national, state level, what she does will be affected and will be underfunded. People need to understand we need health care reform when someone pays over $10,000 a year for a single person premium. She's always going to have trouble. And these guys are going to have trouble because they're not going to get reimbursed. I just have to say, until people understand that they need to address it on a national and state level, the hospital is going to suffer too. Thank you for letting me do that.
Thank you.
Jess?
Last meeting, there was a question about where to recycle propane tanks and batteries, and so I just wanted to show small. I'm still working on an answer for small propane tanks, but I just wanted to show everybody a resource that they can find on the DNR website. I might not have all the answers, but it's somewhere you can look if you do have questions. All right, so if you go to iowadnr.gov/HHM, as in household hazardous materials. Do I have to X out of the PowerPoint? Nope. There is a pretty, like comprehensive list of PDF documents where you can find instructions on how to recycle different materials. And I just wanted to show everybody that since people seem to have questions about those things. So, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
don't have any other answers, so don't ask.
Today.
Just go there.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other business?
We have our public hearing next week.
Yes. March 12th at noon, I believe, is the public hearing on the county budget.
Here.
Here in this conference room. Just an FYI. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.